She sent an SOS message to the wrong person. It went to a Korean Mafia boss. 15 minutes later, he arrived to help. Now he knows where she lives and works. Contact has been established. The process has begun. Let's go back a week. Enjoy. Janelle is sitting at the table in a cafe. Across from her is a man. His name is Chad. He's talking. He's been talking for about 10 minutes straight. Janelle watches his lips. They're moving. Sounds are coming out of them. They're words about his work, about his car, about his vacation plans. Janelle nods. She takes a small sip of water. It's warm. She places the glass back on the table. Her fingers feel the condensation on the glass. She looks past Chad, out the window. People are walking outside. They have a purpose. She thinks about saying yes to this date. It was a bad idea. She realized it the first minute Chad started bragging about how he found this cafe. He chose it himself. He's proud of it. The cafe is ordinary. The tables are close together. She can hear people laughing behind her. Chad asks a question. He asks if she likes his story. Janelle blinks. She wasn't paying attention to the end. She smiles. It's a tense smile, pulled tight across her face like a mask. Yes, of course, she says. Very interesting. Her voice sounds alien. Chad's smile widens. He's pleased. He continues. Janelle feels her eyelids grow heavy. She wants to be anywhere but here. Her leg wobbles slightly under the table. It's a nervous habit. Her eyes drop to her purse. It's on the floor, next to her foot. There's a phone in the purse. The phone is the solution. She thinks about pretending to be receiving a call, or that she's received an urgent message. She looks at Chad cautiously. He's engrossed in his story. He cuts the air with his hands, demonstrating how he negotiated. Janelle leans over slowly. She pretends to adjust the strap of her shoe. Her hand drops to her purse. Her fingers find the zipper. She unzips it a couple of centimeters, enough to slip her hand through. She feels the cold casing of the phone. She pulls it out. She places it on her lap, under the table. She sits up straight, nodding again to Chadwi. Her thumb presses the button. The screen lights up. Light hits her eyes. She squints. The brightness is too high. She quickly reduces it, sliding her finger across the screen. She unlocks her phone. The main screen shows a few icons. She glances at the clock. Only 20 minutes have passed. She can't just get up and leave. That would be rude. Chad seems like a nice guy. He's just boring. He doesn't deserve to be rude. She needs a reason. A good reason. The thought of work comes to her mind. She might say she has an urgent deadline, or that she was called, but her job isn't like that. She's a graphic designer. She rarely gets urgent late-night calls. That would sound like a lie. And she's a bad liar. Her face gives it all away. Then she remembers Keziah, her best friend. They have a system. If one of them needs to get out of a date, they call each other, or send a coded message. Today, Janelle forgot to arrange this in advance. But Keziah will understand. She always understands. Janelle bends over again, as if she'd dropped something. Under the table, her fingers quickly type a message. She opens a chat with Keziah. Her finger trembles. She types slowly, trying not to make any mistakes. Hi, she writes. Help. I want to leave this date. It's unbearable. Call me in 5 minutes. Tell me you have an emergency or whatever. Summon me. She reads the text. It sounds desperate, but it's true. She needs to get out of here. The air in the cafe has become thick and heavy. She clicks on the name entry field. The letter K appears at the top of the list. The contact, Keziah, should be the first one. At this point, Chad pauses. He looks at her. Are you okay? Are you looking for something? Janelle flinches. The phone almost falls from her lap. She grips it tighter. No, it's fine, she says quickly. It's just, the strap slipped. On my shoe. She points to her foot again and pretends to adjust the non-existent problem. Chad looks at her with a hint of doubt, but then shrugs and returns to his story. He has a new topic, his college athletic achievements. Janelle's heart is pounding. She has to send the message now. He's lost in thought again. Her finger glides across the screen. The contact list flashes by. She sees the name Keziah, but her finger is wet with excitement. It's trembling. She presses, but the screen doesn't change as it should. The chat with Keziah doesn't open. Instead, a blank message field appears, and an unfamiliar number glows in the recipient line. No name, just numbers. It's the number that called her this afternoon. An unknown number. She didn't save it or answer it, and now, in her haste, she clicked on it instead of Keziah's name. Everything inside her breaks. No, she whispers quietly under her breath. She tries to undo it, press back, but her finger is already on the send button. She presses it too quickly, trying to fix everything. A gray check mark appears on the screen. The message is gone. It's gone to an unknown number. Her cry for help, her confession that she's trapped. All of this is now in the possession of some stranger. She freezes. Her hand, holding the phone, freezes under the table. She looks ahead, but doesn't see Chad. All she sees is her phone screen. She waits. Maybe the number isn't working? Maybe the message won't get through? 5 seconds pass. 10. And then the screen lights up again. The phone vibrates, sending a slight tremor through her lap. A new message arrived. Not from Keziah, from an unknown number. She slowly, very slowly turns the phone towards herself. Her thumb rests on the screen. She has to swipe it to read. She's seeing me out. The message is short, just one line. It consists of 5 words. She reads them, then she reads them again. Each word feels like a separate blow. It's song. Don't move. I'm on my way. Janelle catches her breath. She stares at the words. The name song means nothing to her. It feels foreign, hard. The phrase don't move sounds like an order. And the last part, I'm on my way, fills her with a chill that spreads from her stomach to her fingertips. She looks up at Chad. He's still talking. He's smiling. He knows absolutely nothing. He doesn't know a text just came through. He doesn't know someone named Song is on his way here. He doesn't know that Janelle is now afraid to move, just like the text said. She sits. Her back is straight. The phone lies heavily on her lap. She doesn't move. She just waits. She doesn't know what to wait for, but she's no longer thinking about leaving the date. Now she only thinks about what will happen when the stranger named Song arrives. Janelle feels the cold from her phone penetrate her palm. She places the device face down on her lap. She doesn't want to see that message anymore, but the words burn in her head. Don't move. I'm on my way. Chad falls silent. He looks at her. He's waiting for an answer to some question of his that she's ignored. Janelle, you don't seem to be here. Is everything okay? She forces herself to look up at him. She tries to relax the muscles in her face. She remembers how to smile. The corners of her lips slowly lift. It's not her real smile. It's her public, polite smile. Sorry, she says, her voice a little hoarse. She clears her throat. Just a little tired from work. Please continue. She picks up a glass of water. Her hand shouldn't shake. She concentrates on this. She holds the glass firmly and takes a small sip. She places it precisely on the damp circle on the table. Chad seems satisfied. He nods sympathetically. I understand. I had a rough day today, too. But like I was saying, he starts talking again. Janelle Kakadi looks at him and nods in time to you with his words. Everything inside her has clenched into a tight, quivering knot. Her ears are not listening to his voice, but to the sounds around her, to the creak of the door opening, to the footsteps behind her, to any sound that might mean someone is approaching. Her eyes dart around the room, unfocused but noting every movement, every new customer. She's looking for a man, a single man, Korean perhaps. She doesn't know what Song looks like, and that makes it even more terrifying. Her thoughts are racing like birds in a cage. Who is Song? It's a Korean name. She understood that. Maybe it's a businessman? Maybe one of her agency's clients? She mentally scrolls through the list of projects. Nothing. How did he get my number? An unknown call during the day. She didn't answer. So he already tried to call her. Why? What does he want? The most frightening thing. Why does the person she accidentally texted help reply, don't move? This is not a normal reaction. This is the reaction of a person who is in control of the situation, or wants to be in control. Why, I'm already on my way. Where is he coming from? Does he know where she is? How could he know? The message was without geolocation. She didn't mark the place in the cafe. You can't find out a person's exact location from a phone number, unless the person has abilities, special abilities. Every thought ends in a dead end, and every thought makes the lump of fear inside her denser and heavier. The phone in her lap vibrates again. Briefly, twice. New message. Janelle flinches, her knee hitting the underside of the table. Dishes clink. Chad interrupts her story. Are you sure you're okay? His voice is filled with genuine concern. Yeah, she mumbles. Just a cramp. I'm fine. Her hand clutches her phone under the table. She has to look. She can't help but look. Slowly, under the pretext of wiping her hands on her knees, she makes that movement. She turns the phone over. Same number again. Another message. She unlocks the screen. The message is longer than the first. Sit at your table. Don't talk on the phone. Don't try to leave. My staff will be with me. They will ensure your comfort until I arrive. Song. The words, my staff, make her blood run cold. It's not just one person. There are several. They might already be here. They're watching. The instructions are clear. Stay put, don't call, don't leave. It's not a request. It's a plan of action prescribed to her. And at the end, there's that name again. Song. It sounds like a seal, like a signature on a sentence she doesn't yet understand. The name, Song, now lives in her mind, separate from everything else. It's unlike any name she knows. Not Mike, not David, not Alex. It's short, hard, without any soft sounds, like a blow. It tells her nothing, but it says so much. It speaks of a man who gives orders, who announces they're coming, and that's enough for his staff to be on the scene, who controls the situation from a distance, simply by sending 2 text messages. She's never seen this man, but she's already afraid of him, afraid of that name. She must explain that it was a mistake. She must apologize to this Song. Maybe he just reacted strangely. Maybe he thought it was a signal from his man. If she explains everything, he will understand. He will stop. He will tell his employees to leave. Under the table, her fingers begin to tremble again over the screen. She opens a chat with an unfamiliar number. His messages hang at the top like accusations. She begins to type, slowly, choosing her words carefully. Hello, there's been a terrible mistake. This message wasn't meant for you. I got the wrong number. I apologize for disturbing you. Please ignore it. You don't need to go anywhere. Again, my deepest apologies. Janelle. She rereads the text. Does it sound too formal? Too panicked? She doesn't know. She deletes terrible and profound. She simply writes, an error has occurred. Sorry for the inconvenience. She adds another please at the end and clicks send. A gray cloud with a check mark. The message has gone. Now she waits. She peers at the screen, expecting the 3 dots to appear at any moment, signaling Song is typing a reply. She hopes to see something like, got it, don't worry, or even just, okay. A minute passes. 2. No dots. No response. Her message hangs in the void, the last one. Has it been read? Ignored? Or is the man named Song simply looking at it, then giving a quiet order to his men already in the room? Leave it as is. I'll be there soon. Janelle puts the phone away. She doesn't look at it anymore. She looks at her hands, folded on the table. She doesn't move. She waits. She's done all she can. Now her fate rests with a man whose face she's never seen, but whose name, Song, is already etched in her memory, like a warning carved in stone. Janelle sits motionless. Her phone is lying on her lap. The screen is dark. She doesn't look at it anymore. She just waits. She sent the message 5 minutes ago, maybe 7. Time stretched and slowed. Every second was a single beat in her temples. She imagines the message reaching Song's phone. Where is he now? In the car? In some office? He's looking at the screen, reading her apology. What is he thinking? Is he laughing? Or is his face completely impassive? The silence in response is the most terrible thing. If he responded, even with an angry word, she would understand something. She would learn at least something about him. But this silence is nothing. Emptiness. It explains nothing and makes everything worse. Chad is talking. His voice comes to her as if through a thick layer of cotton wool. She nods automatically. She can't focus on his words. Her entire world has narrowed to the dark rectangle of the phone under the table and the heavy, oppressive silence that follows her message. The silence becomes physical. It presses on her ears. It squeezes her ribcage. Janelle wants to scream for Chad to shut up, for the cafe to turn down the music, for everything to be quiet so she can hear. What if her phone is vibrating after all? But she remains silent. She endures. She understands. Her apologies mean nothing. The person who writes, "Don't move," and "My staff will ensure your comfort," isn't the one who accepts apologies. They're the ones who make decisions, and they've already made the decision to come. Her attempt to correct the mistake has been ignored. That's the clearest possible answer. The thought comes suddenly and insistently. She can't just sit and wait. This is madness. She doesn't know this song. She has a date with a normal, boring guy at a cafe. No one can force her to stay here. This is her life, her decision. Fear wars with the instinct for self-preservation. Instinct wins. She must leave. Now. Before this man arrives. Before his employees reveal themselves more clearly. She takes a deep breath. She exhales. She looks at Chad and interrupts him mid-sentence. "Chad," he pauses, surprised. "I'm so sorry," Janelle says. Her voice is calmer than she expected. "I really don't feel well. My head is splitting. I think it's a migraine. I need to go home. Now. Chad blinks. His expression is one of confusion and a little hurt. Oh, he says. I see. That's unexpected. Would you like some water or coffee? No, she answers quickly. I need to lie down. Darkness and silence. Sorry about this. She's already moving. She picks up her purse from the floor, puts her phone inside. She stands. Her legs are a little wobbly, but she holds on to the back of the chair. Chad stands up too. Should I walk you home? Call a cab? No, she says, too sharply. She softens her tone. Thank you, I can manage. I'll just walk home. It's not far. Sorry again. She doesn't look him in the eye. She's afraid he'll see her panic. She turns and takes a step away from the table, then another. She walks toward the exit. Her back is tense. She waits for a shout, waits for someone's hand to lightly touch her shoulder. But nothing happens. Only the noise of the cafe, the clink of dishes, laughter. The door seems very far away. She passes tables, past people eating, talking, living their ordinary lives. She feels a sharp sense of envy. They are free. They will simply leave whenever they want. She's almost there. There are only 5 meters left to the glass door. She can already see the street, the evening lights. And then she notices him. He's standing to the left of the door, leaning against the wall. A man. Tall. He's wearing a dark, simple jacket and matching dark trousers. He's not looking at her. He's staring into space, as if pondering something. His hands are hidden in his pockets. He's unremarkable. He could be anyone. A guest waiting for a friend. Someone out for a smoke. But Janelle knows. She knows it immediately and without a doubt. Her body understands before her brain. It's one of them. A coworker. She slows down. Almost stops. Her mind is racing. Should she walk past? Pretend she didn't notice? Speed up and run out into the street? The man turns his head. Not abruptly. Slowly. His gaze meets hers. His eyes are dark, attentive. There is no threat in them. No malice. But there is a complete, utter lack of surprise in them. He looks at her as if he has been waiting for her. As if he has been watching her this whole time. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't make a move to stop her. He just looks. And that's enough. Janelle freezes in place. She stands after the aisle between the tables, 3 meters from the exit, from freedom. And between her and the door, stand this silent man. His presence is a wall. Invisible, but utterly insurmountable. He bows his head slightly, almost politely. It's not a bow. It's just a barely perceptible nod. Then his gaze shifts gently, but firmly back toward her table. Back to where she came from. There was no order, not a single word, but the message was conveyed perfectly. She understood it at first glance. Her attempt to leave is over. It has failed before it even begins. She stands there, feeling the last of her strength drain away. She turns around. And slowly, very slowly, she walks back to her table, where Chad is finishing his coffee in disbelief. Janelle takes a few steps back when she hears a voice. The same man at the door. He speaks quietly, but clearly. He doesn't shout. He doesn't even raise his voice. He simply speaks words that reach her through the general din. Miss, please return to your table. Wait quietly. It will be best for everyone. She turns to look at him. He's no longer looking away. His eyes are on her again. His expression isn't angry. It's neutral, businesslike, like a man following a simple instruction. Return the client to his seat. He doesn't make any threatening gestures. He even takes his hands out of his pockets, showing that they're empty. He gestures slightly toward her desk. The gesture is polite, almost like a maitre d'. There's unwavering confidence in his tone. He's not asking. He's communicating the right thing to do. And there's such power in his calm that the thought of disobeying and rushing for the door suddenly seems childish and dangerous. Janelle turns slowly in a circle, pretending to adjust her bag on her shoulder. Her eyes quickly scan the room. Another man stands at the coffee counter, 2 meters away. He's drinking water from a paper cup. He's also wearing dark, discreet clothes. He doesn't look at her, but he's standing with his shoulder turned toward her. He's blocking the narrow passage to the side exit to the restrooms. A woman sits at a table by the window. She's alone. There's a cup in front of her, but she's not drinking. She's looking at her phone, but her gaze periodically glides softly around the room. She, too, looks ordinary, but her posture is too composed. And she's sitting right where she can see both the main exit and the corner where Janelle and Chad are sitting. There are 3 of them, at least. A man at the door, a man at the counter, a woman at the window. They don't look at her directly. They don't form a circle. but they are positioned so that they block all escape routes. They are in position. They are waiting. Janelle's breath catches. She understands. They won't grab her arms. They won't yell at her. They'll simply surround her, gently but inexorably. They'll return her to her place, like a valuable object that's fallen from a table. Her free will dissolves in their calm, professional observation. She has no choice. Any movement against their will be stopped, quietly and effectively. She doesn't even know how, and that's the scariest part. Janelle's legs carry her back to the table. They feel heavy, like they were filled with lead. She approaches. Chad looks at her with genuine bewilderment. "Have you forgotten something?" he asks. She sinks into a chair. She puts her bag on the floor. Her movements are mechanical. "No," she says dully. I changed my mind. You're right. Maybe coffee will help, or I'll just sit. Sorry for the panic." Chad looks confused, but he nods, trying to be polite. "Sure, no problem. Should I order you a cappuccino or an espresso?" "Whatever," she says, looking at her hands folded on the table. "Thank you." Chad waves to the waitress. Janelle doesn't look up. She feels eyes on her. Not Chad's. Those others. She can't see them directly, but she feels their attention, like a gentle pressure on the back of her head and shoulders. She's the center of a silent, invisible circle. She sits. She follows the order conveyed without words. She waits. Now she's not waiting for the end of the date. She's waiting for a man named Song. And she understands that her return to this table is not her decision. It is their victory, the first and, for now, the last. She no longer tries to leave. She simply sits and stares at the wall while Chad orders coffee for her, which she will not drink. Chad places a cup of cappuccino in front of her. The foam is white, with a brown design on top. Janelle looks at the cup, but doesn't see it. She feels the waitress move away. She knows she should say something. Chad waits. He sits across from her, silent. This silence is worse than his stories. "I'm sorry again," Janelle begins. She needs to talk. She needs to maintain her story. "I have moments like this sometimes. I suddenly feel sick. My head is spinning. I feel like I'm going to fall." She pretends to rub her temples with her fingertips. It's a believable gesture. "It's probably from fatigue and hunger," she adds. "I've hardly eaten anything today." Chad leans forward, his expression concerned. "How about some soup or something light? You need to eat." "No," she says too quickly. Then she softens the refusal. "Thank you. Just coffee and some peace and quiet. I just need to sit quietly." She takes a spoon and slowly stirs the coffee. The spoon clinks softly against the porcelain. She doesn't intend to drink. Her stomach is in a tight knot. She's afraid she won't be able to hold down even a sip. "Sure," Chad says. He leans back in his chair. He looks awkward. He doesn't know how to act. He wanted to make an impression, but it turned out his companion was physically ill. "Just let me know if you need anything." Janelle nods. She's not looking at him, but at something over his shoulder. She feels like an actress who's forgotten all her lines but must keep going. She just sits, breathes evenly, waits. It's all she can do. 10 minutes pass. Chad tries to start a conversation about the weather. Janelle responds monosyllabically. Suddenly, the general noise of the cafe shifts slightly. It doesn't die down completely, but a slight ripple appears, as if from a quiet but confident movement. Janelle feels it before she sees it. Her back tenses. She slowly looks up from her half-empty cup. A man approaches their table. He doesn't look like the other people in the room. His presence immediately changes the space around him. Chad breaks off mid-sentence and looks at the stranger with bewilderment. The man doesn't look at Chad. His gaze is fixed on Janelle. His eyes are dark and attentive. There's no threat in them, but there's no simple curiosity either. He's studying her, as if she were an important document. There's silence. Not complete, but enough for his voice to be heard. He speaks quietly, evenly, with a slight, barely perceptible accent. "Miss Janelle," he says. His voice is low, calm. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Song." Janelle freezes. There he is, the man from the messages. His name now has a face. It has this quiet, confident voice. She can't say a word. She just looks at him. Song bows his head slightly. It's not a bow, but a formal, polite gesture. "I owe you my apologies," he continues, "for this intrusion into your evening. It was impolite of me." He talks about apologizing, but there's not a hint of obsequiousness or genuine regret in his tone. He's simply stating a fact. He intruded, it was impolite, and he notes it, as if he were reading a paragraph from a protocol. Chad finds his voice. "Sorry, we don't know you," he says, trying to sound firm. Do you know Janelle? Song glances at Chad for a moment. His gaze is quick, assessing, and then returns to Janelle. He ignores the question. Your message caught me at the perfect moment, he says, addressing her only. I felt compelled to respond. Sometimes chance is the best way to start a conversation. He pauses briefly, letting the words hang in the air. I thought perhaps you really needed some help, or at least more reliable company for the evening. He says the last sentence, and his gaze briefly glides over Chad. It's not a disdainful look. It's simply a look that seems to register Chad's presence and then erase it as an insignificant detail. Janelle remains silent. Her mind tries to process it all. His appearance, his manner of speech, his absolute quiet confidence. He doesn't look like a gangster from the movies. He looks like a very serious businessman. And that makes it even more frightening. Song pauses briefly. His arms rest calmly by his sides. He doesn't fidget, doesn't change his position. He simply stands and looks at Janelle. So I want to make you an offer, he says in the same even tone. Let me ensure your safety, today and in the future. My people will be there when you need them. They will take you home or wherever you want. They will make sure nothing and no one bothers you. He says it as if he were pitching a reliable courier service or a new taxi app. There's no emotion in his voice. There are only facts. You contacted me by accident, he continues, but I believe there are no accidents. You clearly felt uncomfortable. I can fix that. All you have to do is accept my help. Chad is completely speechless. He looks between Song and Janelle, his eyebrows raised in utter confusion. Security? What security? Janelle, what's going on? Janelle ignores him. She looks only at Song. Her mind tries to process what she's just heard. This man is offering her protection. From what? From a boring date? Or from something more? The phrase later is the most frightening. He's not talking about tonight. He's talking about the future. Janelle opens her mouth. At first, no sound comes out. She swallows the lump in her throat. She has to answer. She can't just remain silent. Mr. Song, she begins. Her voice is quiet, but she forces herself to speak clearly. I appreciate your concern. And again, I apologize for the message. But I don't require protection. There was a simple misunderstanding. I am perfectly safe. She pauses to take a breath. My friend will walk me home. Or I'll call a taxi. Thank you for the offer, but I don't need it. She says this, looking him straight in the eye. She tries to maintain a firm look. Inside, she's shaking, but outwardly, she's trying to hold on. This is her last bastion, a polite but firm refusal. A normal person would back down at this point. He proposed, she refused. The conversation is over. Song listens to her. He doesn't interrupt. His expression doesn't change. When she finishes, he bows his head slightly, as if taking note of her words. I understand your caution, Miss Janelle, he says. An unfamiliar proposition from a stranger. It's reasonable. He pauses briefly. Then he continues, his voice even quieter, even more intimate, though he doesn't advance a single step. But allow me to be informed. You work as a graphic designer at the Vector Agency. You're currently leading a rebranding project for the Morning Ray coffee shop chain. Your client, Mr. Adrian Crow, is quite demanding. You had difficulty approving the concept last week. Janelle feels the blood drain from her face. Her hands turn to ice. She doesn't move. She doesn't breathe. How does he know this? The name of her agency, the name of the project she's working on, the name of her most challenging client. Details known only to her company and the client's office. Song watches her reaction. He sees her pale. He nods slowly, almost imperceptibly. I'm not spying on you, he says, as if reading her mind. I just have information. And with information, I can assess the risks. And sometimes prevent them. That's what I'm suggesting. Prevention. Just think about it. He doesn't smile. He doesn't threaten. He simply laid out a few facts from her life on the table. And these facts speak louder than any threats. They say, I know enough about you. My offer is not empty words. Song's words hang in the air between them. Janelle doesn't move. She feels her heart pounding somewhere in her throat, heavy and loud. Her fingers grip the edge of the table. Her knuckles turn white. He knows everything. Not just her name and number. He knows where she works. What project. He knows the name of her client. He knows about problems she's never told anyone, only her colleagues at the office. This isn't surveillance. It's something worse. It's awareness. As if someone had skimmed through her life like a report, highlighting the key moments. She feels naked. The protective layer of her privacy has vanished in an instant. This stranger, this song, now knows more about her than Chad, sitting across from her, perhaps more than some of her friends. She can't find the words. Fear now mingles with shock. He didn't threaten her directly. He simply revealed a fragment of his knowledge, and that's enough for her to understand. He's not joking. His offer isn't an empty formality. Song watches her for a few seconds. He sees the shock on her face. It seems to be exactly the reaction he was expecting. "I don't want to keep you any longer," he says, his voice becoming businesslike and neutral again. "You came here to have a pleasant evening. I've already interrupted that." He takes a thin silver phone from his inside jacket pocket. A few quick swipes. Then he places it on the table next to her cup. Not a business card, but a plain white piece of paper that seems to have appeared in his hands out of nowhere. It has a single number printed on it. "This is my direct number," Song says. "It always works. If you need anything, if anyone or anything bothers you, any question, any problem, you call, from any phone. I'll answer." He looks at her again. His gaze hardens a little. "I authorize you to leave now with your companion. My men will not accompany you, but I hope you'll keep this number, because I'll be in touch." The phrase, "I give you permission to leave," sounds like a reverse order. This isn't freedom. This is parole. A parole she never gave. Janelle automatically takes the piece of paper with the number on it. The paper is smooth and cold. She shoves it into her bag without looking. Chad stands up. He looks completely lost. He doesn't understand a word of what's happening. He only understands that this strange, domineering man is about to leave. Was introduced?" Chad mumbles uncertainly towards Song. Song looks at him directly for the first time. His gaze glides over Chad, quick and appraising, and he nods slightly. It's not a nod of introduction, it's a nod of dismissal. Then he looks back at Janelle. "Enjoy your evening, Miss Janelle." He turns and leaves. He walks toward the exit with the same calm, silent step. The man at the door, who has been standing there the whole time, opens the door for him and follows him out. The woman at the window and the man at the counter also move quietly toward the exit. A minute later, they are all gone. The air pressure drops. Janelle can breathe again. She suddenly realizes she's shaking, a small, rapid tremor. "Come on," she says to Chad, not even looking at him. "Please, just let's go." She practically runs for the door. Chad, muttering something about the bill, throws too much money on the table and runs after her. They go outside. The evening air is cool. Janelle inhales it greedily. Chad reaches out to take her hand. "Janelle, what was that? Who was that man? What did he want?" "I don't know," she answers honestly. Her voice sounds tired. I don't know, Chad. I need to be alone. Please. I'll call a cab." She sees the disappointment and hurt on his face, but she doesn't care. She takes out her phone and opens the taxi app. Chad stands next to her for a few seconds, then shrugs, mutters, "Okay," and leaves. The taxi arrives quickly. Janelle climbs into the back seat. She gives the address. The car starts moving. She looks out the window at the flashing lights. She must feel a sense of relief. She's out. She's free. But there's no relief. Instead, there's emptiness and a hollow, wary silence inside. Like after a powerful explosion, when the ringing in your ears still lingers. But it's all over. Except it's not over. She's home. She opens the door to her apartment, clicks the chain, turns on the light. Everything is in its place. Silence. Calm. But this calm now seems false. She puts her bag on a chair. She takes out the white sheet of paper. She looks at the number. Then she takes out her phone. She opens the message history. There are 2 short texts from an unfamiliar number and her panicked apology, and nothing more. She sits on the couch and simply stares ahead. She tries to comprehend what just happened. She tries to regain a sense of normalcy, but she can't. Because her ordinary evening ended the moment she sent a message to the wrong person, and the new evening that has begun now in her quiet apartment feels like just a pause before what might happen next. She doesn't feel safe. She feels marked. And the number in her hand isn't an offer of help. It's a reminder that a man named Song is now in her life. And he said he'll be in touch. Janelle sits on the couch for another 10 minutes. She just stares at the phone in her hands. Then she takes a deep breath. She needs to talk to someone. She needs to get it off her chest. Otherwise, she'll go crazy. Keziah's number in her contacts and presses call. The call lingers. Janelle thinks her friend won't pick up, but on the 4th ring, a hoarse voice rings out. "Hello? Janelle, what happened? I saw your message, but then I got distracted and—" "Keziah," Janelle interrupts. Her voice sounds strange and flat. Are you home? You need to sit down. What? Why? Are you okay? Was the date terrible? Worse, Janelle says. I did something really stupid, and now everything is bad. She begins to tell her story. At first, haltingly, getting lost in the details. Then, more coherently, she describes boredom at the table with Chad, panic and the urge to leave, the text she sent to the wrong number, the first response, "This is Song. Don't move. I'm on my way." Kezia is silent at first. Then she interrupts. Wait, are you kidding? Is this some kind of weird joke? No, Janelle replies. It's not a joke, she continues. She talks about the second message mentioning employees, about her attempt to apologize and the silence that followed, about her attempt to leave and the man at the door, about how she was gently returned to her desk. You should have called the police, Keziah nearly screams. And what was I supposed to say? That a stranger asked me to wait? He didn't do anything. He just asked. Janelle recounts Song's appearance. She describes his appearance, his attire, his calm voice. She recounts his offer of protection and her refusal. And then, in an even quieter voice, she utters the most terrifying part. And then he started talking about my work, Kezia. He named the agency. He named the project. He knows about Morning Ray. He knows Adrian Crow's name. He knows about the concept approval issues last week. How can he know this? There's a long silence on the other end of the line. Good heavens, Keziah finally whispers. Was he following you? He said no, that he had information, and that with it, he could prevent problems. She finishes her story, about the white sheet of paper with a number, about her escape from the cafe, about the taxi and the empty apartment. Kezia starts talking again. Her voice is focused now, matter of fact. She's switching into a problem-solving mode. Listen to me carefully. First thing, you change your phone number. First thing tomorrow morning, you go to the operator and change it. This number is now compromised. But he knows where I work, Janelle protests weakly. He can find me if he wants. That doesn't mean you leave him a direct line to your pocket, Keziah practically screams. You said it yourself. He gave you his number. He expects you to call. Don't do that, ever. You're cutting off contact. Janelle is silent. The thought of changing her number seems so small and insignificant compared to what happened. Second, Kezia continues, you go to the police. Tomorrow, even if they do nothing, you file a report, get it on paper. You describe this guy, Song, his people. You talk about surveillance. They might have a file on him, or at least start to take an interest in them. He didn't do anything illegal, Janelle repeats, but without conviction. He intimidated you. He surrounded you with his goons in a public place. He spied on you at work. This is not okay, Ja. Kezia pauses to catch her breath. Third, you stay in touch. You text me every day. If anything seems strange, if you see the same car or the same people, you call me right away, and we'll go to the police together. Deal? Deal, Janelle answers automatically. And fourth, you don't keep that stupid piece of paper of his. You throw it away. Now. Janelle looks at the white rectangle lying on the table. Okay, she says. Repeat it again, Kezia demands. I'll change my number. I'll go to the police. I'll text you, and I'll throw the number away. Okay, now have some tea. Take a warm shower and go to bed. Tomorrow will be another day. Everything will be fine. They say goodbye. Janelle puts down her phone. Keziah's advice sounds logical, correct, like a crisis instruction manual. But somehow these steps feel childish and helpless, like trying to build a cardboard barricade against a tank. Janelle doesn't drink tea. She doesn't shower. She just sits in the dark. The light from the streetlights casts long shadows in the room. The thoughts don't go away. They spin in the same circle, over and over again. She remembers Song's face, every detail, the gray at his temples, the smooth skin, the lack of wrinkles around his eyes when he looked at her. His gaze was like that of a surgeon assessing a patient before surgery, without malice, without emotion, with cold interest. She repeats his words in her ear. I have information. What does that mean? Does he have access to her company's data? Did he hack their servers? Or does he have someone on the inside? Could that person be someone in management? Or Adrian Crow himself? That thought makes her feel even worse. Then she thinks about his employees. There were 3 of them, maybe more. They worked as a team, without words. They simply took up positions and watched. They were professionals. This wasn't a gang of hooligans. It was a system. What did he want? Just offer protection? But why? Why would a stranger who randomly messaged him offer constant protection? It doesn't make sense, so there had to be something else. Perhaps he was testing her, seeing how she reacted to stress, or maybe he wanted to scare her, so that later, when she faced a real problem, she would remember his offer and call. Or, the worst-case scenario, this offer wasn't really an offer, it was a warning. He showed her he knew everything about her, and he gave her his number, not so she could call, but so she knew he could always call himself, whenever he wanted. She gets up from the couch, goes to the table, and picks up the white sheet of paper. She turns on the desk lamp. The light falls on the numbers. Simple font, nothing superfluous. She doesn't throw it away. Instead, she goes to the kitchen and opens the bottom drawer where she keeps bags and foil. She wraps the piece of paper in a piece of foil, then places it in an empty tea can and closes the lid. She hides the can in the back of the drawer. She doesn't know why she's doing this. Maybe just in case. Maybe because throwing it away would be like pretending it never happened. But it did, and ignoring it would be stupid. She returns to the room and lies down on the bed. She stares at the ceiling, her eyes wide open. Fatigue weighs on her whole body, but sleep does not come. Every sound outside the window makes her shudder. The screeching of brakes, the voices of passers-by, the barking of a dog. She thinks about what Kazia said about the police. She imagines herself going to the station tomorrow, telling her story to the officer on duty. They surrounded me, but didn't touch me. They offered me protection, but I refused. The stranger knew the details of my work. It sounds like paranoia, like delusion. She closes her eyes, but then sees him. Song. He's standing at her table, looking at her. His lips are moving. I'll be in touch. She opens her eyes. She won't sleep. She'll lie there and listen to the silence of her apartment, which no longer feels safe. She'll wait for the morning, but the morning doesn't bring answers. It simply brings a new day, inhabited by a man named Song, who knows too much about her, and a phone number wrapped in foil in her kitchen. The morning dawns gray and dull. Janelle has barely slept. She gets out of bed when it's already light outside. Her head is heavy, her thoughts cloudy. She turns on the coffee maker in the kitchen and stands there, staring at it until it starts steaming. She drinks coffee by the window. She looks out at the empty street on a Saturday morning. Everything is calm, normal. But today, this calm seems deceptive. She tries to remember Kazia's advice. Go to the police. Change her number. She realizes she wants neither. Going to the police would make it official. Acknowledge that it happened. And changing her number. It seems such a small, useless ploy against the man who knows where she works. She decides to take a shower. Maybe it will clear her head. She goes into the bathroom and turns on the water. She stands under the almost hot stream for a long time, until her skin begins to turn red. She gets out and wraps herself in a towel. And then she hears a sound, quiet, but distinct, like a light knock or creak behind the front door. She freezes. Her heart starts beating faster. She stands in the middle of the room listening. There's nothing else to hear. Maybe the mailman? But it's Saturday. Or the neighbors? She slowly, on tiptoe, approaches the door. She doesn't look through the peephole right away. First, she puts her ear to the wood. Silence. She peers cautiously through the peephole. She sees the empty hallway of her apartment. No one there. She sighs with relief. Paranoid. She unfastens the chain, turns the key, opens the door slightly to see if anything was left underneath, and sees them. On the floor, right in front of the threshold, lies a large bouquet. It is wrapped in thick, matte ivory paper. The flowers are not roses or tulips. They are something exotic. Long stems with small white waxy flowers that look like stars. Dark burgundy, almost black. Lilies. Sprigs with silvery foliage. The bouquet looks expensive and strange. There is no card. No ribbon with a name. Nothing. Janelle doesn't bend down to take it. She just stares. A chill creeps up her spine, even though the hallway is warm. Who? Chad? No. He's offended. He wouldn't. And it's not like him. A coworker? She doesn't have such close relationships at work. Kezia? Kezia would have called or texted. There's only one option left, the one she fears. She quickly glances around the hallway. It's empty. The elevator isn't moving. The stairwell is silent. She steps forward, picking up the bouquet with one hand. It's heavy. It smells strong, sweet, with a slightly bitter note. The scent is unfamiliar. She carries the bouquet into the apartment, closes the door with her foot, and clicks the lock. She stands in the hallway with these flowers in her hands. They are beautiful, perfectly arranged, but they do not bring joy. They bring fear, because they are a message without words. Janelle carries the bouquet into the kitchen. She places it on the table. She doesn't want to put it in water. She doesn't want these flowers in her house. She just looks at them. Her phone is lying nearby on the countertop. She looks at it, then back at the flowers. The phone vibrates. The sound is quiet, but in the quiet kitchen, it seems deafening. Janelle slowly picks up the phone. She already knows what she'll see. A new message notification flashes on the screen from an unfamiliar number, but now she knows who it is. She didn't save it, but the numbers are already etched in her memory. She opens the message. The text is short, just 7 words. I hope you enjoyed the flowers. Song. Janelle reads these words. Then again, they are so simple, so ordinary, as if he is just an acquaintance who did something nice for her. But there's so much more to these words. I hope you liked the flowers means, I know you found them. I know where you live. I've been to your door. Song O is a signature, a reminder. It's still me. I'm not going anywhere. And most importantly, the message itself. He wrote again, to the same number. He ignores her apologies and refusal from yesterday. He continues the conversation, on his own terms. Janelle sinks into a kitchen chair. She holds her phone in her hand and stares at those 7 words. She has no answer. What should she write? Thank you? That would sound like she was accepting his attention. Don't send me any more? That might irritate him, or worse, intrigue him even more. Ignore her? She'd already tried that. He'd just text again when he wanted. She realizes she's trapped. Not trapped in a cafe like yesterday. Trapped in a more secure trap. Trapped in his attention. He knows where she lives now, and he lets her know he remembers her. She doesn't reply. She just leaves the message unread. But it doesn't change anything. He's already said everything. Janelle sits in the kitchen for a long time. She looks at the flowers, then at her phone, then out the window. The world outside goes on as usual. People go to the store, take their children to the playground, laugh. Their lives are simple and clear. They don't have mysterious bouquets at their door in the morning. They don't receive messages from people named Song. She thinks about her plans for today. She had a to-do list. Go to the store, do some laundry, maybe call her parents. A typical Saturday. But now these plans seem unrealistic, like a game of normal life. Because reality has changed. In her reality, there is now a person who observes, who acts, who sends flowers and messages. She stands up, walks over to the bouquet, takes it. She doesn't throw it in the kitchen trash can. She leaves the apartment, goes to the garbage chute in the stairwell, opens the heavy metal door, and drops the bouquet inside. She hears it fall, hitting the walls of the chute. Returns to the apartment, locks all the doors. But this gesture changes nothing. The flowers are gone, but the knowledge remains. Song knows her address. He was here, at her door. Janelle goes into the bedroom and gets dressed. She chooses dark jeans and a simple sweater. She looks at herself in the mirror. Her face looks tired, her eyes a little sunken. She tries to smile at herself. The smile comes out crooked and quick. She decides to go out, not to the police, not to change her number, just to go outside, buy some bread, get some air, show herself she's not in a cage. But as she gets ready, she does things she's never done before. She peers carefully through the peephole before opening the door. She steps out into the hallway and listens. As she goes down the stairs, she doesn't take the elevator. She looks around. Outside, she doesn't put on her headphones. She walks, holding her phone, but not looking at it. Her eyes move constantly. She notices the cars parked outside her building. She notices the people walking behind her, or toward her. No one arouses suspicion. They're all ordinary people. But she checks. She's in constant checking mode. And it's exhausting. It takes all her strength. She buys bread at the small bakery on the corner. The girl behind the counter smiles at her. Janelle tries to smile back, but her lips don't obey. She takes the change and leaves. On the way home, she realizes, this is the new reality. Not dramatic. Not full of chases and gunshots. It's quiet. It consists of a constant background fear, of glances over her shoulder, of the trembling in her hands at the sound of an unfamiliar message, of the memory of the cold eyes of a Korean man in a suit. Her life was divided into before and after, before last night, and after she pressed the wrong button on her phone. She returns to her apartment, locks again. Silence. She sits down on the sofa. Yesterday she hoped that the morning would fix everything, that it was just a strange incident. Now she knows. No, the incident is ongoing. It has only just begun. Her life has entered a new phase, a phase in which she is not alone, in which she is being watched. And the name of this attention is Song, and she has no instructions on what to do next. There is only this knowledge. and a white piece of paper with a number wrapped in foil in the kitchen, like an escape valve, as an admission that she has already lost control. Sunday arrives. Janelle barely leaves the house. She cleans the apartment, but does it mechanically. Her thoughts constantly return to two places: the white sheet of paper in the jar in the kitchen and the last message on her phone. She checks the door lock several times a day. She doesn't open the windows wide, even though it's warm outside. That evening, she calls Kazia, but doesn't tell her about the flowers. She says everything is fine, that she's just resting. She's afraid Kazia will insist on going to the police immediately, and Janelle doesn't have the energy for that. She feels exhausted. Before going to bed, she checks to see if the jar with the leaf is still in place. It is. She lies down in bed and stares for a long time at the patterns of shadows on the ceiling. Monday morning spurred her into action. There was a routine, a regimen. She showered and dressed in casual office clothes, dark pants, a light blouse, and a jacket. In the mirror, she looked put together, businesslike, almost like always. The commute to the office seems longer than usual. On the subway, she stands instead of sits. She scans the train car, trying to do so discreetly. No one pays her any attention. Everyone is glued to their phones or looking out the window. The Vector Agency office is located in a business center, on the 10th floor of a modern glass facade building. She passes through this turnstile, nods to the security guard she sees every day, and rides the elevator with a couple of colleagues. They discuss yesterday's match. Janelle smiles when appropriate and remains silent. Her workspace is an open space in the common room. A bright desk, 2 monitors, a few potted cacti. Everything is as usual. She turns on the computer and checks her email. The usual emails arrive, from colleagues, clients, newsletters. Nothing out of the ordinary, but she can't concentrate. Her gaze keeps drifting to the large window across the street. From there, she can see part of the square and the entrances to the neighboring buildings. She finds herself looking for dark cars that have been parked for too long, or for people who are simply standing there, not going about their business. A colleague at the next desk, Mark, turns around. "Janelle, are you okay? You look tired." "Yeah, just didn't get much sleep over the weekend," she quickly replies. "I see. Look, Adrian's edits came in on the Morning Beam project. Again, he never seems to be satisfied." Mark hands her the printed sheets with the notes. Janelle takes them, her hand shaking slightly. Adrian Crow, the client song mentioned. She reads the edits. The usual quibbles. The font isn't expressive enough. The palette seems dull. Nothing out of the ordinary. But now every line from this man seems suspicious. Could he be connected to Song somehow? She decides to check, carefully. She logs into the department's general chat and scrolls through the conversation history for the last 2 weeks. She looks for any mention of approval issues. She finds one. There was a discussion about Adrian rejecting the 3rd version of the logo. Several people were discussing it in the chat. She, Mark, the department manager Anya, and a couple of other designers. Someone could have passed on this information. But why? These are routine work matters. She feels paranoid, but she can't stop. During her lunch break, she doesn't go to the cafeteria with her colleagues. She says she's waiting for an important call. When the room empties, she goes to the window and looks down at the square. People are hurrying, sitting on benches, eating sandwiches. She scans the crowd. Suddenly, she sees a man in a dark jacket. He's standing by the fountain, not eating, simply looking at the building. Her heart stops. She squints, trying to get a better look. The man turns, takes out his phone, says something into it, then walks away. Most likely, he was simply waiting for someone, but she's already shaking. She returns to her desk and drinks water in large gulps. The workday is ending. Janelle is packing her things. She's not one of the last to leave the office, as usual, but rather among a crowd of colleagues. She feels safer being among people. She takes the elevator down and walks through the lobby. It's still light outside. She decides not to take the subway and instead walk part of the way. Maybe the fresh air will help. She's walking down a busy street. She stops at a small supermarket to buy something for dinner. She picks up a basket and slowly moves between the aisles. Concentrating on simple things, choosing a yogurt, grabbing some pasta, is somewhat calming. There's a line at the checkout. Janelle waits, absent-mindedly gazing at the display of gum and chocolate bars. Next to her, 2 teenagers are chatting heatedly. The cashier rings up the items for a woman with a full cart, and then Janelle feels it, the feeling of being watched. Not a fleeting glance, but intense attention. She slowly turns her head to the left. There, behind the glass entrance door of the supermarket, On the sidewalk stands a man. He's looking straight at her. He's not hiding. He's just standing there and watching. He's wearing a dark windbreaker and jeans. His face is ordinary, unremarkable, but his posture is relaxed. And his gaze is directed straight at her. This is not the man who was at the door of the cafe. This is someone else. An icy chill runs through Janelle's body. She turns away, pretending to check something on her phone. Her fingers tremble. She silently counts to 10, then quickly glances at the door again. The man is still there. He's not looking directly at her now, but off to the side, as if he's looking at a store window across the street. But he hasn't left. Her turn comes. She quickly unloads her groceries on the conveyor belt, pays with her card without looking at the cashier. She takes the bag and practically runs to the exit. Not the one where the man is standing, but a side exit that leads to the adjacent alley. She runs out into the street. The alley is narrow, almost empty. She turns the corner abruptly, presses her back against the cold brick wall, and waits, trying to breathe more quietly. Her heart is pounding so hard she can almost hear it. She listens. There are no footsteps. A minute later, she cautiously peers around the corner. The alley is empty. She steps out onto the main street and looks back. The man is nowhere to be seen. Maybe he was just waiting for someone. Maybe she imagined it. But the feeling of being stared at was all too real. She walks the rest of the way home quickly, almost running, constantly glancing over her shoulder. She notices every dark car on the side of the road, every person who follows her for too long. One man in a cap followed her for 3 blocks, but then turned into a liquor store. She runs into the entrance of her building, locks the front door behind her. She takes the stairs because waiting for the elevator is unbearable. She bursts into the apartment, slams the door, and turns on all the locks. She stands in the hallway, leaning against the door, breathing heavily as if she's just finished a long run. A bag of groceries lies at her feet. The evening passes in vain. She tries to make dinner, but can't eat. She turns on the TV, but can't hear what's being said. Her whole being is tuned to anticipation. Anticipation of a new message, a call, a knock on another door. The phone is silent, and this silence makes it even more frightening. Before bed, she performs a new ritual. She checks not only the locks on the front door, but the windows as well. She closes the furniture hook on the balcony door, even though she's never used it. She places an empty glass on the doorknob in the hallway, like they do in the movies. If the door is opened, the glass will fall and break. She knows this is foolish. If Song's men want to get to her, the glass won't stop them. But this ritual gives her the illusion of control. She lies down on the bed. The light from the street lamp falls on the ceiling in a strip. She looks at it. She thinks about what happened at the supermarket. Was that man one of them? Or is it her nerves playing tricks on her? She doesn't know. And not knowing is the worst thing. She thinks about work, about whether she'll be able to work properly tomorrow, about what will happen if Adrian Crow calls or shows up for a meeting. She's afraid of her client now, too. She thinks about Song. What does he want? Why is he just watching? What is he waiting for? Thoughts spin in a vicious circle, leading to no conclusions, only exhausting her. She doesn't sleep. She lies and listens to the sounds of the night, and she understands that this is her new life, a life in a state of constant readiness for danger that never comes but hangs in the air. A life in which every unfamiliar glance could be the glance of a coworker, in which every gift at the door is a threat, not a sign of attention. Her reality didn't change yesterday. It changes every hour, every minute. It becomes ever narrower, ever more disturbing. She's locked not within 4 walls, but in the cage of her own fear. And the key to this cage, it seems, lies with a young Korean in a perfectly tailored suit, just waiting for his moment to use it. She closes her eyes. Morning will bring a new day, but she already knows it doesn't matter, because Song is out there somewhere, and he's on call, and that's enough for her world to never be the same again. She wakes up early, before her alarm goes off. It's 5 in the morning. The apartment is pitch black, broken only by the steady ticking of the wall clock in the living room. She left it on at night. Now the sound seems calming, something normal and predictable. She goes into the kitchen. The glass is still on the doorknob, untouched. She puts it away and turns on the kettle. While the water is boiling, she goes to the window and opens the blinds slightly. The street is deserted. The street lights are still on, but the sky in the east is already starting to lighten, turning a dirty gray. She sees a garbage truck slowly driving past. This is normal. Everything is normal. Today is Tuesday, a regular workday. Over breakfast, she decides she'll do something different. She can't go on like this. Fear is eating her up. She can't let this man, this song, ruin her life without even doing anything obvious. She has to pull herself together. She's making a plan in her head. Today, she'll focus solely on work. She'll complete all tasks for the Morning Ray project. She'll talk to her manager, Anya, about possibly handing over this client, if necessary. She'll try to act as usual. The commute to the office feels like a test of her endurance today. She walks to the station, her gaze automatically scanning for people in dark clothing. She spots a woman with a dog, a postman, teenagers with backpacks. They all seem harmless, but the man at the supermarket yesterday seemed harmless too. On the subway, she takes the first car. There are usually fewer people there. She places her bag on her lap and looks out the window at the lights flickering in the darkness of the tunnel. She breathes deeply, as she once learned in a meditation class. Inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 6. She's one of the first in the office. She goes to her desk, turns on her computer, and dives right into work. She opens the layout files for Morning Ray and begins methodically making edits to Adrian Crow's work. She turns off all notifications on her phone and computer. Just work. Coworkers gradually arrive. The room fills with the sound of keyboards, conversations, and laughter. It's typical office life. Janelle tries to be a part of it. When Mark approaches her desk to discuss fonts, she joins in the conversation. She even cracks a joke, and it sounds almost natural. By lunchtime, she feels tired, but in a different way. Not nervously, but from work. She's accomplished a lot. She decides to go down to the cafe on the ground floor of the building rather than go any further. It's safe and close. At the cafe, she grabs a sandwich and coffee. She sits at a small table against the wall. She eats slowly, watching the people around her. They are mostly office workers from neighboring companies. And then her gaze falls on the counter, where napkins, sugar, and newspapers are kept. Next to a small stack of newspapers lies a solitary business magazine. Its cover bears the headline in large print: Security Market, New Players, and Old Rules. The word safety catches her eye. She looks away, but a second later looks back at the magazine. It's a standard trade magazine. Nothing special, but she's drawn to it. She stands up, goes to the counter, and picks up the magazine. She flips through it, standing still. Articles on cybersecurity, data protection, and new surveillance technologies. Dry, professional language. She wants to put the magazine down, but her finger pauses on the table of contents. At the bottom of this page, under the heading People and Events, is a small black and white photograph and a brief note. The photo looks familiar. It's Isong. It's definitely him. He's turned slightly to the side, looking straight into the camera. The caption reads, Mr. S.K. Song, head of the consulting group Song and Partners, attended a charity dinner in support of the City Museum. Janelle freezes. She reads the article. Just 3 sentences. It mentions his company, its involvement in charity, its discreet approach to solving clients' complex problems. Nothing specific, but now it has a name. Song and Associates, a consulting group. She looks at his photo. On the phone screen, he seemed like an abstract threat. Now he's here, on glossy paper, in the world of business news. Real, legitimate, and that makes him even more terrifying. She puts the magazine back. Her hands are shaking. She returns to her table and finishes her coffee, which now tastes bitter. She thinks, consulting, complex problem solving. What does that mean? Ensuring security? Solving problems? What problems? And who are his clients? Her own client, Adrian Crow. Owner of a chain of coffee shops. He could be that client. Maybe he is. Her thoughts begin to race again, but now they have a point of reference, the name of the company. She quickly takes out her phone, opens a browser, searches, Song and Partners Consulting. The results are coming in. The company's website, minimalistic, austere. The homepage doesn't list any specific services, just general phrases like strategic solutions, risk management, and confidentiality. The About Us section is almost empty. There are no photos of the team, just the address, a prestigious business district in the city center, and a contact phone number, the same one she has on the piece of paper wrapped in foil. She closes the browser. She sits and stares ahead. Now she knows a little more, but this knowledge brings no relief. It only confirms Song is not a ghost. He is part of the real world, a busy, serious, secretive world. And for some reason, this world is now focused on her. She gathers up the remains of her lunch and throws them away. She returns to the office, but the concentration she so carefully cultivated this morning is shattered. Now she's not just afraid of an invisible threat. She's afraid of a specific person in a specific company, and she doesn't understand why he's targeted her.